Hi, I'm Mark Brown, and this is my journey deeper into God's Word. So welcome. I'm actually recording this in my new office space, my little caravan. I will give you a tour at some point, show you around, but it's brighter. It's actually more spacious, even though it's a smaller caravan. I'll post some photos pretty soon. I haven't just quite finished yet, so I wanted to be you can see I've cleaned it up, a bit of a paint job, and but it's looking good, so I'll show you a bit about it later. Well, my journey today is into Hebrews 12. Hebrews 12, which reads, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up, and let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. Because of the joy awaiting him, he endured the cross, disregarding its shame. Now he is seated in the place of honor beside God's throne." Hebrews 12, 1 through 2. Now you're probably wondering, I need to say, this is my Bible. Can you see that? Yeah, look at that. That is YouVersion. YouVersion. Head to youversion.com. You can download it for free. It's absolutely superb. It's got search, reading plans, the whole shebang. So check that out. But this is a Bible wherever I go. Well, the amazing thing about this passage is it just completely connects with my life right now. I do a lot of exercise, and one of the forms of exercise that I do is running. And about a year ago, well, let me start going right back. When I was much younger, I was very into running. In fact, I played a lot of sport, a lot of competitive sport. I represented Western Australia in rugby as a junior, rugby union as a junior. I held the hurdles record at school. I did a lot of running and was involved in athletics and sport a lot. And then, like many, I left high school, I got into uni, things slowed down, I didn't stay as fit as I could. And so about a year ago, tracking many years forward, I decided to get fit again, just over a year ago. And I remember I was doing a lot of walking, but I wasn't running. And I knew the beauty and the joy of running. So I started running. It started very slowly, very carefully. I would imagine manage 5 minutes and then 10 minutes, and slowly but surely I've built it up. But yesterday was interesting. Yesterday, before church, I went for a run, and I intended to run for 45 minutes. After 20 minutes, I had to stop. And my ankle was throbbing. And it happened the week before, and I'd taken 2 days off from cardio, thinking that would help. And I was consulting with a friend, trying to work out why this was happening, what was happening. And I realized, and their suggestion to me was that maybe it was the equipment. Maybe it was the shoes that I was wearing, because it's not fitness. My ankles are basically okay. But maybe it's the shoes that I've got. And I realized that actually I had fairly cheap shoes that I could have put. I need to get better shoes. I also examined and explored the possibility of fueling. It's all right if you're running for 20 minutes, half an hour, but if you want to run longer, and I certainly do, I want to run, to be able to run for several hours. That's my goal, to run a marathon. But if you want to do that, you've got to fuel. It's not just a matter of having a hearty breakfast, having a few stretches and taking off into the run. You've actually got, it's very scientific. You've got to be very careful about what you put into your body. So I'm starting to think carefully about this. Now, why am I sharing all of this? Our faith, or my faith, is no different. It needs the same careful preparation. It needs the same careful forethought. When I hit something hard in my faith where I don't know what to do, I have two basic choices. I can just give up. It's too hard. Forget about it. Or I can work out a plan to get through the challenge and keep going. Well, it's the same with my run. I could easily have gone, this is too hard. I just find this too hard. And it is. Running is painful. It is. You reach a point where your body's saying, I want to slow down, and you've got to push through that. Not at the detriment of serious physical injury, but you do reach that mental barrier, and you have to push through it. And whatever sport you do, even walking, whatever it is that you do, we hit that. And it's the same in our faith. It says here in Hebrews 12, referring to the Olympics of the day, to the sports events of the day when this was written. Therefore, since we are surrounded by a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, imagine the runners sitting down there in the day, surrounded by the crowd, watching these athletes about to race. Let us strip off every weight that slows us down. So the athletes of the time, of course, the dress for those athletes were heavy robes. Well, it was ridiculous to run in these robes. They would catch in your legs, you'd fall over. So they would literally strip off the robes. They would lay them on the ground so they could be free to run. And then it says in Hebrews, especially that sin that so easily trips us up. So it's making a connection between the robes tripping us up and sin tripping us up. And Hebrews is saying very clearly, if you want to run this race of faith well, you have got to remove the impediments. You've got to remove those things that will slow you down. Or in my case, I have got to get some shoes and some proper fuel and the right equipment if I really, really want to run well. And it says in Hebrews, and let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. Now, it doesn't say, let us run as fast as we can. The word endurance is really, really key. There were sprint races. That this is talking about an endurance race. Our faith is something that has to be taken slowly and carefully. We have to have a long-term perspective. We can't see it as the excitement we have on a Sunday at a church service or a camp, as if that defines our faith. There are important moments, but I have to view my faith as between now and when I head to heaven. And that takes a different way of thinking. At high school, I was a sprinter, not an endurance athlete. When I was on the paddock and rugby, I would be the guy who'd have a burst of speed, pass it off, and then retreat to my corner to try and catch my breath. Even in athletics, the hurdles, that was my event. I was held the record in the school for hurdles, went on to state. But give me cross country, hopeless. And now, as I transition to want to do much longer running, it's a completely different kettle of fish. You've got to pace yourself. You've got to be more careful with your resources. You can't just expend it in the first 10 minutes or the first 5 minutes. You've got to realize you've got an hour ahead of you. And you've got to adjust to that. In the same way with our faith, with my faith, is I've got to make decisions. Make decisions that mean I can be strong in God for a long time to come. Verse 2 reads, we do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates the perfects and perfects our faith. Because of the joy awaiting him, he endured the cross, disregarding its shame. Now he is seated in the place of honor beside God's throne. There's a moment where when I'm running, where it is enduring. It's the word endurance, where it is painful. It is easy to give up. But it is clear from this passage, it is clear we are not to give up, but to keep persevering, to keep going, to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And how the verse 2 is very clear, by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. We cannot perfect our faith, only Jesus. Now that has significance because Jesus has suffered and endured. That is a story of the cross. Jesus has struggled on the cross. Jesus has experienced the pain and pushed through it. And as I feel pain, as I struggle in my faith, as I struggle wanting to know more, to learn more, to grow more, to be stronger, to be more passionate and on fire for God, and being impatient, wanting that to happen today, I know that I have to just keep going, that eventually God will honour my commitment, that eventually each day as I work at the Bible reading and prayer, as I face my sin, one step after each other, that eventually I will reach the prize of the reward in heaven, and I will come into God's presence. God bless you.